The Dallas Mavericks just acquired a massive bounce-back win against the Milwaukee Bucks last night as they continued their efforts to try and climb as high as possible in the standings before the regular season comes to a close. The Mavs sit just one game back from the third-seeded Golden State Warriors, and they have just 3 games left to try and steal that spot to solidify home court advantage in the first round for the first time since 2011 and potentially beyond that, depending on how the first round ends up turning out. They are just one win away from their first 50-win season since 2015, which would be the first time they've reached this mark with Doncic at the helm, and I think it's extremely safe to say that this is the best team the Mavericks have had around Doncic, and they could seriously be a threat to do something terrifying in the playoffs. Also, only a small percentage of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed, so if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing. It's free and it helps me out a ton. Ever since they finalized the trade to send Porzingis to the Wizards in exchange for Spencer Dinwiddie, this team took off to a completely different level of play on the court, winning 15 of the 20 games Dinwiddie has suited up, and he could very well be the X factor in the playoffs, leading them past the first round for the first time since they drafted Luka. Dinwiddie gives the Mavs another playmaker to rely on in the playoffs, tremendously lifting the pressure off of both Doncic and Brunson as it spreads out the defensive attention given to those 3 individuals, and so far, with the small sample size we have seen from just the last couple of games, this move is looking to pay its dividends to every single player on this team offensively. Dinwiddie has completely opened up the amount of opportunity that this offense has, where the Mavs have more than just 2 guys on this team they can feel comfortable with the ball in their hands, creating plays, and it has resulted in this team having exceptional ball movement during the second half of the season. This offense simply just looks comfortable out there on the floor, being extremely patient, looking for second, third, and even fourth options on the floor, all just trying to find the best possible shot, no matter who is the one taking it, with the growing confidence they have in each other and their ability to shy away from taking bad looks, which is why this team has had so much success as of late. This has resulted in Luka Doncic playing some of the best basketball of his career recently and has been consistently climbing up the ladder in terms of the MVP race as he extended his 30-point streak to 5 straight games yesterday, which is the longest in his entire career. Everything just seems to look easier for him out there on the court as he simply just has more space to create, slightly less defensive attention, and this has allowed him to allow his game to come to him naturally, taking way more great looks on the floor or even setting up his teammates with beautiful dishes, making their games easier. And with that and the team's improved ball movement, he also notched his third 30-point and 15-assist night of the season, while all of this was done against what most people look at as being one of the most complete teams in the NBA in the Milwaukee Bucks, who have Giannis playing out of his mind right now, potentially going for his 3rd MVP trophy, and they were even practically at their 100% with Brook Lopez now back from his injury. Every key player on the Mavs played a huge role in this win yesterday, as it definitely was a true test to see just how good they can play, especially against one of the top teams in the NBA, who are also one of the best defensive teams as well, if you simply look at some of the defensive stars they have on their roster. Collectively, they shot 51% from the field, 42% from 3, and nearly 90% from the stripe, where if they continue to play like this as a team, where everyone contributes in their own way, they will be a strong force to be reckoned with, and there is no debate to that. Dwight Powell, Finney Smith, and Reggie Bullock all did everything anyone could have asked for out of them, as they were the usual recipients of the second and third passes out of the playmaking provided by Doncic, Brunson, and Dinwiddie, as they simply just hit the great looks they were gift-wrapped with. Maxi Kleber was out with injury in this one, and also I did make a video on what both Dinwiddie and Brunson bring to the floor collectively and just how important they are for one another, so make sure you guys check that video out after this one if you are interested in the 2 of them, just so I could save time talking about other important topics in this video. What truly stands out to me is the coaching that Jason Kidd has put on full display all season long, and I think he should most definitely be at least in the running to win the Coach of the Year award. As soon as he stepped foot in this coaching position, he's evolved this defense to easily be the best amongst any of the other years behind Luka Doncic, climbing from ranking 21st and 19th in terms of defensive rating all the way up to 7th in the entire NBA, where some people even consider them to be at that elite level, being the main reason this team is much different than any other year. On top of the strong suit of players they have on that end, with Doncic clearly taking a leap from that standpoint, and Finney Smith emerging as a top defender in the NBA, covering opposing teams' best players, it's also been the defensive adjustments in-game that have propelled this team in the right direction. They're a group of tall, long, athletic players that have a great philosophy, in which we saw last night of Finney Smith guarding Giannis straight up, and behind him, depending on what move Giannis decided to do, a multitude of defenders react and collectively decide who is in the best position to come in and collapse on him to either alter his shot based on what direction he decides to move in, or force him to pass out of the shot to force his teammates to beat you. This team has the talent defensively to be extremely creative, and especially in a 7-game series, we'll start to notice exactly what game plans Jason Kidd decides to use. However, being that he was a defensive-minded point guard his whole career, he has a great sense of exactly what the team is going to need to do to shut down opposing team stars as best as possible, and it's no mystery why this team has been so good. Having this strong of a defense alongside the greatness of a healthy Doncic in the playoffs is something we've never seen before, and given the reason this team hasn't managed to get out of being that constant first-round exit was because of the fact that when Doncic wasn't playing his best, the defense couldn't hold their own to keep the game close and allow them to sneak away with wins. This definitely didn't help the fact that their other 2 playoff appearances with Doncic as the leader have been against the LA Clippers, where they have 2 of the best wing defenders in the NBA in Kawhi and Paul George, trying to neutralize everything that Doncic can do, while he also had lingering injuries throughout both of those series. Things could not be brighter for this squad this season, as things look to be drastically different from years past. I wanted to look at their potential playoff matchups this season and compare who I believe is going to be better suited for them to go up against, hopefully to finally break their current first-round exit streak to give them a chance to make a run in the postseason. What it's looking like right now is either going to be against the Jazz or the Nuggets, and I also wanted you guys to comment down below who you think would be the more favorable matchup in a 7-game series for the Dallas Mavericks and why. But personally, although the Denver Nuggets are incredibly banged up and have far less star power to compare to what Dallas brings to the table, I personally think the Jazz are this team's best bet for a couple of reasons. And for starters, I just don't like the idea of going up against the potential MVP this season, who is putting up numbers that we have hardly seen in the NBA, let alone the fact that he's a center, and I just think the chances of him taking his game to a completely different level in the playoffs and carrying the Nuggets can never be overstated, as there's practically nothing you can do to stop him. But I like this team going up against the Jazz for a couple of reasons, and it's because recently they've looked to be almost completely imploding as a team, only winning 4 of their last 10 games, while the chemistry between Gobert and Mitchell is looking terrible as well, with Donovan practically refusing to give the ball to Gobert when he has a clear mismatch down low in the post, and I honestly just think this is the end of the line for this Jazz team, especially if they don't have any success this season once again in the playoffs. The hopes aren't that high for this team to do something special, to the point where I honestly think that especially in the playoffs, where if they do end up playing the Mavs when they're game planned against from this very strong and very smart team, these chemistry issues will really start to show, and they'll lose all of the momentum they have, if they have any to begin with. The one thing that does scare me is the fact that Donovan Mitchell has shown to become an absolute beast in the playoffs. However, I think the Mavs are more suited to play against a star forward than a dominant big man like Jokic, especially with the emergence of Dorian Finney-Smith and the team defense he has around him. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. As always, if you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like to help this video get shared along YouTube's algorithm, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more NBA videos like this one that I will be posting multiple times per week. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a great night.